Hello. So, in the comments of like one of my videos, a few people were asking about like Jet and why, like I said, why like I said that is like I said is why I don't recommend him and why like so they had some questions about why like how Sebastian is buffs critical hit better and stuff like so. Let's go talk about Jet first, which is like on the literally opposite end of my thing because he has no investments, right? So his inordinate fury ability is like the main reason people use Jet is this one. It gives a critical hit bonus to the whole team as long as he's alive. Um, right. So you get some. So it has plus 100 critical hit plus 2.5% magic attack, which is a really low modifier. If you get him fully maxed out, like say, well, let's say it adds 15 to levels. So if you do this, like, so it's 89 times 15 plus 100, so that's like 200 something. Like it's not a lot. It's like so 2,000. Said it's not a lot, so it doesn't add a whole lot from this portion. Like the thing, you have most of it's from his magic attack, but it scales really slowly. Fully maxed out, I believe it is only like 3,972. That's okay, but fully maxed out means, when I mean fully maxed out, I mean you have his roll branch maxed out, the healer roll branch maxed out, and his ascension all the way maxed out. At least to, like I said, maybe you can skip these health glyphs. Right, so maybe you can skip those last two health cliffs, but anything that adds his magic attack is going to be maxed out. And that I think gives you 3,972 if I did my math right, which is not a lot. I mean, it's said, so it's not bad. 3,792. So let's go look at a hero like who I have maxed out. So this is Aurora fully maxed out. Right, she ends up at 14,790 strength. So with Jet adding, so if you have 3,972 critical hit chance, that works out to be about a 21% chance of landing a critical hit on Aurora. That's not bad. I mean, if you add to the whole team, but Aurora kind of has on the lower end of base stats. Like if you look like Celeste, she ends up with so she has over a 16k intelligence. I'm not even sure I've fully maxed her. I might even have some. So I even have another intelligence glyph right here, so it'll even be. So even be 355 higher. So, so fully max against a fully maxed out Celeste. That only adds like 17 or 18% critical hit chance. So it's not bad. So if you're just thinking like, say, there's a lot of heroes that would be like 15, 16. So you're looking somewhere between like fully max, you're looking at between like 17 to 21% critical hit chance. I mean, that's okay. But that requires a lot of investment. If you don't have the investments, like if you're don't fully max him, you're doing him with like minimal investment, like he's not going to provide much value at all, because then you're looking at like, instead of like having 17 to 21% critical hit chance, you have like maybe a 12 to 15% or even less, depending. So you really need to have a lot of investment just to make Jet worth it. And even then, it's kind of dicey. Like I said, his artifact, it actually just adds armor, so he doesn't buff fit critical hit that way, which is part of the reason why Sebastian is just a better critical hit buffer, because Sebastian, he buffs critical hit with his artifact weapon. This means when he uses his ultimate, the entire team gains 8,898 critical hit chance for the entire 9 seconds. So that's like more than double what Jet adds. So if Jet's adding like 17 to 21%, Sebastian is going to be adding like 30 to 30. I said somewhere between like 30 to 40%, depending on the hero. So to the whole team. Plus, Sebastian can modify that buff further. No, it's not in effect 100%. It's only going to be in effect like half the time. But half the time at a higher percentage is probably better than all the time at a lower percentage. Plus, with his skills, like his battle song, like this happens fairly often. And this, while this is up, if this happens while his other buff's up, he potentially doubles, even a bit more than doubles that chance. So instead of having 8898, you get to like 20,000. And then all of a sudden your whole team has like a 55 to 65% critical hit chance. So it ends up being a lot. And so for this reason, Sebastian is just a better critical hit buffer than Jeff. And plus Sebastian, of course, Ode to Serenity, like best ability in the game. He can also do a lot of damage in his own right, unlike Jet, who doesn't offer a lot of damage. And the other abilities Jet has, like I said, You know, like I said, the other reason Jet used to be really used was this potion of fatigue, right? Because this would block healing. Blocking healing is a very good ability, but unlike Celeste, this is a debuff, not a field effect, right? So Sebastian also kind of took away Jet's debuffs, right? Kind of pushed these out. So that's the other reason why Jet just doesn't see a lot of play. Like I said, he used to be pretty good, like, but you know, Sebastian's pretty much fully replaced him, and you know, there's just he's also kind of counters him, so he's kind of not really worth it. He requires a lot of investment to really make the most of. But even then, like, so if you're doing a Jet team, like the most common Jet team is something called Kira Blender, which I'm not even sure it was always so dubious if it was even a good team or not. I mean, some people liked it, but I've never really felt like it was a good team. But this Jet team looks like this. So let's put in the heroes for it. Nebula. Kira. It says Fenris. And then you'd have Jet in the back here. Like, so that's usually how it goes. But honestly, though, he doesn't add a whole lot to this line. You know, yes, he makes Kira crit a bit more often, like, but for the most part, like, here's things that just kind of, this is pretty much the only reason this is like the only line you'll see that is because other critical hit heroes that buff critical hit, like I said, but honestly, I think this is probably a better one. Like with Yasmin, like it was the reason you saw is like you put him in there, like before Yasmin, like post Yasmin, it's like honestly, you'd just be better off having Yasmin in this team, and then you could put Kayn on her. Nebula doesn't really need a pet most of the time. Like I said, this is going to be a better line than the Jet line. I guarantee it. This is going to be better 9 times out of 10. Another thing you could do is maybe Ju, who also buffs critical hits, except for he messed up the line. So that doesn't work, but Jasmine does work between Kira without messing up your Nebula line. So that's the other thing. So Jasmine's kind of better than Jet too. If you wanted the second to be more consistent, keeping Kira critting, you could just add another critical hit buffer. And of course, with Kayn on Yasmin, she's probably going to have those critical hit buffs up pretty much always. Plus you have Sebastian critting, buffing crits, so it's really more consistent. But even other heroes that you should consider is, like a lot of times on these kind of lines, is the hero I see in the back most these days is actually Helios. And this is to counter enemy Yasmins. Because Yasmin is a fairly common physical attacker, but Helios hard counters her. And also, but if you're going to get instead, he also buffs armor, which is good, gives you second armor buffer, and he has like his other abilities that defend your team. Like I said, no, the healing in this team is pretty much weak because Nebula is the only one that can heal it. She can only heal Akira and Sebastian. And Vari has regen with Oliver. The other option is like if you need to protect against magic teams, Thea is an option. So I would say rather than do Jet in his Kira team, you want to look at Thea, Helios, and Yasmin to fill in that last spot rather than using Jet. Like I said, because Jet just said, you just need a lot of investment in Jet, and he doesn't really add a lot. Like if you really want more crit, add Yasmin. If you need healing, add Thea. If you need anti like Yasmin or like said, use Helios. Right, said I think those are just generally going to be things. Isaac doesn't really work here. I guess like I said, if you need armor pen, you could probably do Fox. That's probably would be the only other option, be Fox, if you really need some armor pen. But Kira has pretty high armor penetration. If you max her out, like takes a lot of investment. If you fuller max her, there's only like 4 or 5 heroes in the game who have enough armor to block her pure damage portion. So she's pretty, like that's not something you're gonna run into too often. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video informative. Thank you for watching.